parent, you'll want to listen to this interview.
Bullying is sadly rife in our schools, and it's a major concern for pupils, teachers and parents.
Primary and high schools are mostly affected, but what are the warning signs that a child is being bullied?
And how can you, as a parent or guardian, help? Well, let's get some answers now from a clinical psychologist, Ruth Ancer, who joins us this morning. Ruth, good morning, and thanks for your time. And I suppose let's answer some of those questions. Let's first look at the signs. And I know this is a topic you can't talk about enough because it is happening and parents are often unaware. How do you know your child is being bullied?
Well, I think the key is always making sure that there's an open communication with your child, so that if you notice anything is different, you're able to say what is going on, or preferably that your child comes to you and tells you. So if you notice a change in behavior, a child starting to refuse to go to school, becoming withdrawn, suddenly developing somatic symptoms, headaches, tummy aches, then that is a sign that something's wrong. But I think to continuously, from the time they're small, have conversations about what is okay in terms of how you treat other people and how other people treat you. And if you're not being treated well, or if there's something that is distressing you, to be able to see your parents as people who can assist and intervene. So it's fundamental that you establish a open communication and a relationship where children are not scared to tell you things.
Now, before we get more into what parents should actually be doing to support their children, I've just wondered about the other side. How do you, as a parent, how can you pick up that your child is the bully?
I think it's very important to be open to what other people are saying. I think sometimes we can be so defensive and protective of our children, and we cannot entertain the idea that our children could be at fault, that we often just excuse behavior. But sometimes when other children are not wanting to make arrangements, or you start picking up that the school is phoning and saying their problems, it's really important that you can realize that we have to see our children objectively. Because if we constantly say, oh, the child was provoked, or oh, that he was just, it was a retaliation, he's the victim or she's the victim, I think then we struggle to assist effectively.
Well, Ruth, talking about what parents do and having that conversation with your children from the time they're early enough to understand what this might be. As a parent, what do you actually say to your children? Do you say to them, if someone is doing that, that and that to you, do you stand up for yourself, or do you say, come and tell mom and dad? What do you teach them in that conversation?
I think it's very important that, that your child is taught assertiveness skills, because while everybody goes through everyone will be teased at some point. When a child is being systematically bullied, which is repetitive and intentional, often it's children who are more vulnerable. So the bully will seek out children who maybe don't have peer support, who are different in some way. So I think assisting your child to be assertive, confident, and be able to say, no, this isn't okay. And if the child feels they're not able to say that, then to definitely tell the parent or tell the teachers. But I think it's a combination, because you cannot just say, you know, just accept whatever's happening to you. But at the same time, you also can't say to a child, you have to fight back. If the child is physically much weaker and doesn't have the kind of peer support that the other child might have. So it is about looking at the situation, and I think it cannot just be it cannot just be one approach. It's got to be holistic.
How do you create or help a child to have that balance? Because natural instinct, if I'm being attacked, I want to defend myself. It's just a natural kind of biological function that you do, whatever it's called psychologically. How do you help your child to understand the need for that and the need to support others?
The need to support others. So in terms of, I think you know, when a child stands up for themselves, often that will be enough for the bully to back down. Not always. But I think what you've picked up is really important in terms of supporting others, because an aspect that is getting more and more prominence is bystanders, which are children who are witnessing bullying. So I read research that says 85% of bullying incidents happen with bystanders, but of those, only 10% intervene. So I think that one of the important ways of making sure that bullying is tackled is by empowering bystanders, by explaining, and this we do to the children who are being bullied, the children who are bullies, and the bystanders. And sometimes people have different roles, but it's by saying that this behavior is not okay. So when you see it, this is what you can do. You can assist the victim, you can get others to assist the victim, you can comfort the victim, you can tell the bully it's not okay. And once, because a lot of bullying happens in public, not all, but a lot. And I think that when bystanders do nothing, sometimes they encourage it, they laugh, or they spur it on. And that gives permission to the bully to carry on. So I think there's a very powerful role for bystanders, and that's what parents can be encouraging in their children, is what do you do when you see this happening to someone? And then also looking at the reasons why bystanders don't want to get involved. Very often, bystanders are relieved that they're not the targets. So it's this feeling of, well, if I get involved, will I get bullied? And what will happen to my social reputation?
And Ruth, I mean, that's the one aspect of bullying, the bullying that we can see, the physical aspect. But it's 2018. We see cyberbullying, bullying happening in so many other ways that a parent might not even see happening to their child. I mean, there's social media, there's Facebook, there's all kinds of other things that kids are using these days. How do we tackle that? Because that is something that you want, it's your child's, private conversations maybe, but things are happening, bad things are happening to them in that sphere.
So I think the recognition that aggression isn't just physical, that social exclusion is aggression, that malicious gossip is aggression. And it's about also saying that anytime you see it happening, to be able to say, I'm not part of this conversation. So if you're on a WhatsApp group or you're on a chat and people start saying malicious things or unkind things, to say that's not okay and I'm not part of this and this can't carry on. But also encouraging your children to tell others what is going on, so that the private bullying is also stopped, because I think bullies thrive on non-action of other people.
So open communication works both ways. So you have to encourage them to open up, to talk to somebody, and you as parents as well have to talk about your children to understand what's happening in their world, both in the physical space and in the social platform space.
Yes.
And I think it's also how we behave as parents at home with our kids.
Role modeling is so important. And I think that a lot of the time you'll see children who are aggressive to other children in all ways, not just physical, are not children necessarily who have seen their parents being pro-social, being accepting of other people, being supportive of other people, being encouraging. And I think bringing up examples with your children and within the school environment, saying, what happens if this happens? And saying, this is what happened when I was at school, and this is what I did, and this is what I saw. So encouraging those communications is really, really important.
Thanks very much.
Thank you very much. That's Ruth Ancer, clinical psychologist, sharing some insights about what you as a parent can do to assist your child or children, whether they're involved in bullying or they are being bullied.
Well, let's